learned so much about myself and others and the world by going on walks with other women. This episode is all about those women who inspired me and why it is that a community of women takes us farther faster. Welcome to the Modern Creative Woman podcast, exploring the art and science of creativity. This is a podcast for women like you who want to tap into their creativity and self-expression. I'm your hostess and creativity expert, Dr. Amy Backos. I'm a licensed psychologist and a registered and board-certified art therapist with almost 3 decades helping women live their authentic lives. Let's get started. Welcome in. If you're new here, I'm so glad you're here. I'm your hostess, Dr. Amy Backos, and I've been saying almost 3 decades I've been a therapist. And then I'm 29 years. I just was guessing. Well, this January is my 30th year from beginning to see women in supportive environments. And part of what we're doing here is connecting women in really supportive ways inside the membership, of course. And I want you to connect more with the women in your lives. And there's a really incredible way that you can do that. And I want to share a little bit about that with you in just a moment. It also involves you focusing on your dreams and your values and being willing to share it with other women. I'm so glad you're joining me on this audio creativity journey. I'm happy to have you here. And if you're a longtime listener, welcome back. The month of August inside the Modern Creative Woman is all about this little strategy that serves us and sometimes does not serve us. And on the negative side, we might call it perfectionism. On the positive side, we might call it attention to detail and the ability to juggle all the balls all the time, all at once. Women have this incredible capacity to hold a lot of things: family, work, community, taking care of kids, parents, others in your world that depend on you. And August is how to use that ability in a way that serves you, and how to let go of some of those strategies that might have served you in the past, but are starting to get in the way. So if this appeals to you, August will be one of our most unique workshops. So I invite you to join us inside the Modern Creative Woman. First of all, for the community, and second, because the art and the content is so good. I was inspired to talk about going on walks with women when I heard an interview with Megan Tamty, and she's the CEO and co-founder of Evereve. And she has a very interesting backstory. She was thinking about starting this company for 7 years before she did. She waited 7 years. That's a long time. And in this interview, she was asked, what got you moving finally? And she said one of the things that allowed her to really dream big was both the support of her husband and co-founder, but also these walks. And she would go on walks with a woman in her neighborhood, and they didn't talk about kids, they didn't talk about family, they only talked about their dreams. That was the topic of conversation. Every day 4 o'clock would roll around, and that was the conversation. And she said that process of walking and sharing the dreams really pushed her to take the leap. And I got pretty excited to hear her talk about these kinds of visionary walks that she was having. And I am so grateful for 2 women in particular who've given me these visionary walks. And it's a pretty profound experience when you find that person that you really do want to share dreams with, in terms of giving space. A friend can support you, can listen, can give feedback. So the first person that I walk with pretty regularly every single week on Thursday morning is my friend Sarah Peter. And We began our friendship when our kids were in kindergarten. And then we started going to the same gym, and we started just walking home from the gym together. And one day, one of us shared our dream of what we wanted to do. I don't know who started it. And I started talking about wanting to have my own art practice and an art therapy center, and to really be able to provide service to women directly. And she shared her dream to have her own salon. And a number of years later of talking about our dreams, visualizing what we wanted, we both have taken action and done it. And she's the owner of Lola Milo Salon in San Francisco. It's a beautiful salon. And as you know, I'm the creator of the Art Therapy Center of San Francisco and the Modern Creative Woman. And I give Sarah a ton of credit for the visioning process. What we did was mapped out on our walks. The other woman who really did this similar idea of walking with a vision is Dr. Shilpa Reddy. And she is a director at the VA, and she's in charge of multiple states. She is someone that I walked with and talked about what I wanted to write about. And she talked about her work at the VA and how she wanted to make a greater impact in her work. And my books are out, and Shilpa has a large team. She does a lot of traveling to make sure that veterans who are farther away from a VA center have access to care. She was an incredible leader in telehealth at the VA long before the pandemic. She was trying to talk me into doing Skype meetings with her. The work that we did on those walks got us forward in our career. And Shilpa and I also did a lot of art while we walked. We would stop and make mandalas in the sand in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. And in the dirt, we would carve out circles, place sticks and flowers. We each brought little ornaments to hang on a tree. There's a tree around Stowe Lake where people put ornaments. They decorate it in December. And so we were not just talking and creating our dreams, we were creating visual art as well on these walks. And it was pretty cool. So I want to give you a little information about why walking with women is so important. And I started just doing a quick Google search to see what was available. I kept finding this statistic that said walking with another woman lowers your loneliness by 2.5%. We're 2.5% less likely to feel loneliness when we walk with people. And that piqued my interest. And I could not find the original literature on that. So I can't say that statistic for sure. I did a deep dive into Mendeley, which is a database for research. It's global. It captures everything. And I couldn't find that exact statistic, but I have some pretty cool information that I want to share with you. And I really want you to consider how you can take action on this. If you don't yet have a woman that you're walking with, I think you should find one. There is a lot of scientific basis for why we like to walk together. I mean, we're social beings and we're wired to share experiences. There's lots of research that we enjoy things more when we share them. And we even enjoy chocolate more when we share it with someone. So sitting down by ourselves eating chocolate, it doesn't taste as good as if we sat with a friend and shared a piece of chocolate. Isn't that amazing? Another natural reason why walking with another woman is great is together in groups, we just naturally feel safer. We can kind of let down our guard in a certain way to be vulnerable verbally. And also we're safer, right? Like the cars driving by can see two people easier than they can see one. I did find some pretty cool studies that looked at gait performance. And so they were studying how people walked, their gait and their neural activity when they walked. and looked at their phone and did stuff on their phone versus when they walked with someone to have a conversation. And they found that conditions where you were doing two things, right? Walking and looking at your phone, your gait performance decreased. So this has a lot of implications for um, certainly older people, people recovering from an injury. But you can look on your phone and find what percentage of your gait is off. So if you're walking and texting, your gait is off, which is bad for your body. But they also found some pretty cool things neurologically. So they wired people up in their brain, and they found that when people were walking and talking, they had an increase in theta and beta, and the neural power in those electrodes were located over left frontal and right parietal regions of the brain. So if that kind of thing lights you up, I will drop that article into the show notes. But here's the thing that you might want to tuck away in the back of your head too. Walking and texting was associated with the decrease of neural power in a huge cluster of electrodes over the frontal premotor and sensory motor cortices as compared to when people were just walking and talking. Like your brain is like kind of shutting down when you look at your phone. I guess we knew that already in our speculations about what happens to us about our phone, but there's quite a bit of evidence for it as well. I found another article about walking with your dog. I'll put that in the show notes too. And that research was really focused on what happens for people when they go out and about with their dog. And so there's something about regular exercise, right? It can be low impact, it's just a walk, but it really improves fitness. And this article was focused largely on helping elders stay active. And so if you've looked at any of that blue zone kind of research, it's staying active. It's the getting up, getting down onto the floor, going for walks, maybe gardening. All of those things keep people's brain stronger and healthier, not just their body. There was a 2019 study that I love. It's Morris et al. And they found that walking groups had a huge place in women's lives, and they became spaces where they could share and heal and enjoy. And it was really this positive resource. And a lot of the women that they talked to in this research study talked about it as a lifeline. And in particular, they observed that change, like things happening in their lives, they call it biographical disruptions. Something happens in your life. And these walking groups became a lifeline when these women were facing difficult situations or caring for people who are ill, menopause, changing jobs, that kind of thing. And they started looking at health behaviors and then started calling it health practice because it's a practice to get together and walk. And I love the idea of practicing our health, right? It's like practicing yoga. And these researchers concluded that walking groups work well, and especially for people at particular times in their lives, right? So things are changing. And they also noted that especially for older women. Now, it wasn't just only in women, but the improvement in their lives from the walking group was just so much bigger for midlife and older women. And what I take from that is really the idea that we all should have a walking group. It's like insurance. And it really does give us this lifeline when we need support. And we're not just showing up when we need support. We're showing up all the time. We're giving support. We're enjoying the experience of being together. Harvard Health summarizes in really nice ways, like why exercise and the brain go together. So walking protects your thinking skills in this incredible way. If you want to help protect your brain, work on exercise. When you socialize, your brain is doing a lot. It interprets people's facial expressions and their speech, their emotions. You're also observing body language. And all of that like causes your brain to figure out how to react. And it's shifting your brain from the observations to then participating yourself in the conversation. And that extra effort from socializing, even if you don't notice it, promotes brain cell connections. I'm going to repeat that part. The extra effort that we put into socializing, right? You don't maybe want to get out of the house, but you go anyway. That effort promotes brain cell connections, and that keeps your thinking and memory sharp. So you want some insurance on your longevity and your cognitive skills? Go for walks with friends. And they also report on the physical work of a walk, and that physical activity, right? Like not sitting and talking, but walking also stimulates growth of new brain cells. So when you socialize while you walk, you're getting really like a double dose of these brain health benefits. How fabulous is that? So let's get into some practical things that you can do around creativity and your walk. I already mentioned that Dr. Reddy and I really took our time. Now, there were times that we ran to the beach and back, and we put in the miles running. But there were more times where we went slow and we looked and we observed. And it became this mindfulness exercise. Making the little mandalas in the earth was so profound. I took so many photos of the ducks, and we watched the seasons change in San Francisco. Other ways that you can be adding creativity is to think about your friend when you're not walking with them. See how your mind can wander. You can send them the loving kindness meditation. You can imagine you see something at the store you think they would like. Just like let your mind wander about your friend and allow yourself to have that experience of a brainstorm. Everyone loves to know that someone was thinking about them when they weren't there. When you are able to reflect on your friend and her concerns and her dreams, it gives you something really important also. It lets you have a social connection in the moments when you're all alone. You're not with anyone. Thinking about a social connection also gives you some of these benefits. Some of the neurologic benefits that I mentioned earlier also ring true when we're being creative. And I think often of Henry Matisse. When he got so old that he was laying in bed, he cut out shapes. He got an assistant to pin them on the wall. And that became his jazz period of art, the most profound, I think, of his work. It's the essential shapes and forms that emerged during that period of his life. Staying creative is one of those mental health aspects that does give us some real confidence in aging. Using our brain in a multitude of ways is how we keep our mind fresh and active and generating new neurons. I have a challenge. Go invite a woman out for a walk this week. Call a friend, and don't worry, she can say no if she's too busy. You're not putting anybody out. And if she's not available, call another friend and figure out a way to get in a walk with a friend this week and see what you notice during and after. And for any of you researchers out there, if you can find that article on Mendeley about loneliness being reduced when we walk with friends, please do send it to me. Now, I want to speak directly to therapists and art therapists and parents and people in complex relationships. That's all of us. I would do a lot of walking with the adolescent clients that I had, and you can think of this tool as a way to engage with adolescents, either yours or your clients, that does not require face-to-face contact. It relieves some of the pressure and some of the intensity of a relationship where maybe they're going to be able to share a little more when they're not looking at you. I think it's pretty profound if you driving in cars with teenagers is pretty great too, because they're not experiencing your gaze and they're sometimes a little more free to speak. Mm. And then I think about, for the art therapist, the art around place, and Andy Goldsworthy's work using art in place, that the outside art reflects the place that it's in. And we all remember, playing in the dirt or in a sandbox or in a park where there's something pleasurable and playful about being in the outdoor space. And you can recreate that for yourself and for people of any age. They benefit from that experience of creating art around place. So it might just be, rearranging rocks in the garden, and little kids can work with pebbles to create shapes. And as adults, we like to garden and move things around. There's also ways of building something with art that uses just found objects, nature, the stone stacking that you see at rivers sometimes. Creative expression is really unique and special when we're using natural materials. And there's something incredibly soothing about it for a whole lot of reasons. That could be another episode. So do get out there, invite your girlfriends, and make the time to connect. It's good for your brain. It's good for your emotions. It's good for every part of your body to go for a walk with friends. And just one more extra thank you to Sarah Peter and Dr. Shilpa Reddy for their inspirational, visionary walks with me for so many years. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Now that you know about how to use your creativity, what will you create? Want more? Subscribe to the Modern Creative Woman digital magazine. It's absolutely free and it comes out once a month. And I know you can get a lot out of the podcast and the digital magazine. Yet when you're ready to take it to the next level, I want you to know you have options inside the membership. And if you're interested in a private consultation, please feel free to book a call with me. Even if you just have some questions, go ahead and book a call. My contact is in the show notes, and you can always message me on Instagram. Do come find me and the Modern Creative Woman on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Dr. Amy Bacos. If you like what you're hearing on the Modern Creative Woman podcast, I want to give you the scoop on how you can support the podcast. You can be an ambassador and share the podcast link with 3 of your friends. You can be a community supporter by leaving a 5-star review if you think it's worth the 5 stars. And you can become a gold star supporter for as little as $3 a month. All those links are in the show notes. Remember to grab your free copy of the 21-Day Gratitude Challenge. The link is in the show notes, and you can find it at moderncreativewoman.com. Have a wonderful week, and I cannot wait to talk with you in the next episode.